Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. We're back here in Founder's Forge next to the Alchemist's Guild, which still has not developed all that much. I haven't had as much time to play over the weekend, but what I did get done is a little bit more work on the other houses here in the town, because these were just the ones that we were going to knock out with our usual build style, and I am changing a couple of things up a bit here and there where I feel like we need it. For a start, this roof here has a stripped spruce log instead of an oak wood log, which might not seem like such a big change to you, but for me, I've never really liked the stripped spruce texture, so I thought I really wasn't going to like it for the roofs. But after building a few roofs out of that stripped oak, I kind of felt like we needed a bit of variety in here, and you know what? The occasional stripped spruce roof is really going to work out well for us. I still need to pepper in some planks here and there, but I really like the way these have come together. Diagonal builds are not super straightforward to do, but we managed to keep the roof line even, and I'm really happy with how these have come together. These are all just houses, by the way, so don't expect any big, things to happen in any of these places. They are just meant to be residential places. We've got one in here, we've got another one over there, and we have a few gaps left to fill in, a few doorways still to make. But I think these houses are actually coming together quite nicely. They look a little bit blocky right now, but we can always add a few more details here and there, some things that are really going to help them stand out and also blend together in a weird sort of way. So today, we're actually going to work on something completely different. We're not going to do any building as such. We are going to be working on another mechanism. And this one is going to be quite cool because it's an XP farm that does not require you to work with mobs at all. So you don't need to worry about killing any mobs, whether they are hostile or passive. We are going to be making an XP farm using furnaces. And I've mentioned this in previous weeks, but we're only just now getting around to it. And an XP farm using furnaces is possible thanks to some mechanics which I believe are only possible in the Java edition right now, but might be coming to Bedrock edition at some point. And that is that furnaces will now store XP from items that have been smelted by the furnace, even if those are removed using a hopper. So normally we are used to the way furnaces work, right? You cook some stuff in a furnace, it gives you XP once you take it out of the furnace output slot. And prior to Minecraft 1.13, it was not possible to gain any XP from furnaces which had smelted items and had them removed by a hopper, mostly because the items would leave the output slot right away, but also because they just didn't remember which items they'd smelted and they just didn't give you the XP all at once. Now, if we smelt a whole bunch of stuff using a furnace and it is removed using a hopper, we can actually claim that XP afterwards, and just by removing a recently smelted item from the output slot, we can access all of the XP that that furnace has smelted up till that point. And in combination with some mechanics that we have explored recently, that will allow us to create an automatic experience farm, and I want to make mine up here. The main reason I want to have this sort of accessible, close to the center point of all of the stuff I do in this world, is because it's going to be a viable alternative to going out to somewhere like the Nether, where we have the Zombie Pigman XP farm, or the End, where we have our Enderman farm, which are my two primary sources of XP, typically. And it's going to be nice to have, effectively, a tool repair station close to where we are doing a lot of our mining and a lot of our building, around the area of Founder's Forge and the farmhouse here. And since we weren't able to put our cake staircase up here behind the sheep farm, I think I might hollow out an area of the wall here and conceal some of the mechanism that we're going to need for our XP farm, because it is going to be kind of a mechanical project. There's going to be a couple of hectic farms that we want to have in this thing, and I want to put them not necessarily out of sight, but I do want to have them kind of concealed so that we have a fairly, unassuming furnace interface over here. We want to have something that we can just walk up to casually, right-click on a furnace, take some items out, and bam, tons of XP, potentially enough to repair our tools, armor, elytra, anything that we're holding that has mending. A bunch of stuff is going to be possible to repair using this. We're going to be building a zero-tick bamboo farm. We're also going to add a zero-tick cactus farm, which I don't think we've explored in the series before, but will be fun to include here. It operates on much the same principle as the bamboo farm does. And we're also going to install an item trash can, because this is a really, really quick way of generating a lot of cactus green and we're probably going to want to get rid of that because I've got enough cactus green already. So let's create a temporary cobblestone platform here. We'll probably make this look prettier in a second. I just want to make sure that I don't walk backwards towards the sheep farm and potentially just drop down into this little ravine down here. And we're going to place our furnaces. We're going to make 8 of them. We're just going to put them along here in a row like so. And ultimately, these are going to have hoppers, all of which come out the bottom of them, go into droppers. The droppers are going to push any items that they collect out into a water stream, and the water stream is going to carry the items into a cactus just to be destroyed. I gotta say, thank goodness that we have a lot of iron now, thanks to the iron farm being back up and running, because we are going to need quite a few hoppers for this design, for outputs, inputs, and fuel, and that kind of stuff as well. But I've dug a trench down here for now, because we are going to need to add droppers to the underside of each of these, and the role of these droppers is going to be, as I said, to output the items into a water stream that's just going to lead to a cactus at the end here that's going to destroy the items for us. And by placing a block over the top of the cactus, we can make sure that it's not going to grow any higher, so that doesn't need to be a problem. We're going to put the one cactus in there with no blocks around it just to make sure that it doesn't end up breaking, and we'll have a water stream placed at the opposite end here, and then the items should all just end up getting propelled into the cactus there, which is lovely. Now, behind each of these droppers, we are going to want to add a one-wide comparator clock design. So we're going to be using a design I've used in the past with the observers facing into each other, rather than having the one where the clock is a little bit slower. So this is potentially going to be a little bit noisy once it's all built, but what we'll want to have is a bunch of pistons, sticky pistons behind here, with observers facing inwards towards the comparator here, and we're going to have a row of observers facing this way, so I might actually take out the hoppers here to make it a little bit easier. Observers facing this way over the top of the comparators, and observers facing this way on top of the sticky pistons. Now, anytime anything gets into the droppers, the comparator will activate the sticky piston, pushing the observer up facing the other observer, and that's going to create a redstone clock which will empty out the contents of the dropper. And we can fill in this back section here if we want to, but you need to remember to leave an air block over the top of these things so that the sticky pistons can still move the observers around. But that should be all we need to do for the comparator observer clock stuff back here. Now we can replace the hoppers going back into those droppers, and we'll need 2 more sets of hoppers for the furnaces, one for the fuel line and one for the item input line. Now, to save a little bit on materials here, and because it doesn't matter if the items are evenly distributed along the top of here, we're going to be using a water stream instead of a row of hoppers or a hopper minecart setup here. But if you remember back to the witch farm, when we set up a water stream along the top of some hoppers, we had a little bit of a problem whereby the items would kind of get bunched up inside the hoppers, because the hopper actually has a dent in the center of the hitbox there where you can actually stand, like I'm standing right now with my feet inside the hopper, and items would occasionally get caught on that section of the hopper and would not be able to flow over to the next one. And that's fine if you're just dealing with one item and the items aren't very precious, but of course stuff starts to stack up there and it becomes a little bit awkward. But we have a way around that, and that is to line up the items in a water stream by using chests along the outside here. And bear with me while I set this up so I can explain exactly how this works. The hopper actually has this edge to the hitbox which is taller than the section in the center, and by pushing the items into the side of a chest using a water stream, you will guarantee that the item entities basically get pushed along the very edge of the hopper here and will end up going into all of the hoppers in order, making sure that they don't get caught on the hitbox here, because they are traveling along the very edge, these last kind of couple of pixels here. If they're coming around this corner with enough speed, they might do that anyway, just with a water stream and some blocks, but the chests allow you to line this stuff up a little bit better, and that just means that some stuff ends up going into the hoppers a little bit easier. So we've got a setup here where a water stream is pushing them into this block here, which has got a block of blue ice, it could be packed ice if you want, and a slab over the top of it to separate the 2 water streams out and make sure the water doesn't flow backwards into this channel. And then I'll put a water stream here, and you'll notice that when the items fly around the corner here, they should all end up going into that first hopper quite quickly, so it's kind of difficult to see. Let me try and grab a few different items here so we can test this out. So I've already thrown a little bit of andesite and stone in there, so let's see if we throw in a few different colors of wool, like so. You can probably see those going around the corner a little better. They line themselves up with this edge of the hoppers, and hopefully this should prevent any items from getting caught up on the dent in the hitbox of the hopper, and we should just be able to send them all around the system along the edge there. And then we can do the same thing reversed for the hoppers down here. So for the fuel line, we can have a water stream that's flowing from this end down that way, and then have chests lining it on this side. And that does mean the fuel is going to have to come in on this side to make sure that it gets pushed over to this end, and then we're going to add another chest there, yep, to line those up. Perfect. Okay, so that's going to be the fuel lines and the item input line all taken care of. Next up, we're going to have to build the two farms that are going to be powering this entire thing, a cactus farm and a bamboo farm. Now, the cool thing about this farm is it's pretty much completely passive once you've got it set up, meaning you can set up more or less any kind of cactus and bamboo farms, or really any farms that can passively provide stuff that can be smelted or used as furnace fuel, and then you can leave the farm to its own devices and come back to it whenever you need it. However, for what I want to do today, I kind of want to get results fast, and for that, we're going to turn to the zero-tick cactus and bamboo farms that we've seen elsewhere in this series and on the channel of Ilmango, who is one of the wizards from the Psycraft server and is the person I've turned to for the tutorials for these farms. I'm not going to be using the most efficient designs of both, because there are expansive cactus and bamboo farms that are really meant to provide a huge amount of experience, and possibly even experience for people across an entire server. Of course, with this being a single player world, I'm just going to build a smaller version of it that's adequate for my needs. But of course, if you want to expand upon that, I do recommend checking out Ilmango's tutorials on both of these farms, because they are very, very clever stuff and can be tiled or expanded upon as suits any individual player. Now, to cut down on quite how noisy these farms are, because as you may know if you've seen the zero-tick bamboo farm that I built elsewhere in this series, or if you're familiar with these things at all, you'll find that they get very noisy. They tend to have a lot of piston noise involved with them, and so what I really want to do is have them set back into the mountain a little way here, and just have them drop the items into this water stream whenever they can. So we're actually going to build up a little kind of catchment area here, and then any items that come along this row of blocks will end up going straight into the water stream and input into the fuel line from there. So we got a water stream here that's going to lead out there. I'm going to try my best to build this farm from memory. I'll need my redstone box, and yeah, I might have to go back and look at the tutorial if I need it, but we're just going to need a couple of fairly simple components, a little bit of redstone dust, some redstone torches, and some pistons. We will need some sticky pistons for this, and then of course some dirt to grow the bamboo on, and a little bit of bone meal just to get the bamboo started. Okay, there we go. Took me a minute, but we got there, and now you remember quite why we need to have a means to turn this off, and why I want it to be a little bit further away so that I can hear myself think while I make these things. And as if that wasn't noisy enough, I'm about to make this a little bit noisier, because I have noticed that there are a few items just getting stuck around here, and unfortunately when new bamboo stalks get generated here, they actually get stuck. So we're losing a fair amount of bamboo just here. That's like, yeah, that's been over a stack of bamboo that we've just lost there. So by removing this lever, which is going to enable everything again, but we can input a redstone signal underneath this block here to disable it if we want to, what I'm going to do is add a dropper clock, basically. We're going to have that facing outwards into this water stream, like so, and yeah, the dropper is going to be ticking over a whole lot, but by adding a hopper on top of this, that should just spit it out basically anytime this receives a pulse, and all we need to do is block off the sides like so, and that will make sure that all of the items that this machine outputs get spat out into the water stream, meaning pretty much a 100% success rate. One other thing to remember is that you need to have a light source up near the bamboo, or it's not going to grow. So building it in a cave like this is all very well if you want the gadget to remain out of the way of anything that is going to be too noisy, but remember to put a light source in there with the bamboo, otherwise it's just not going to want to grow at all. There we go, the bamboo is flying out of this machine now, which is absolutely great. And while bamboo does take 4 items to smelt a single item, it is an infinitely renewable fuel source that can be generated very, very quickly by these zero-tick machines. So if you have another source of fuel, like a witch farm that generates sticks or something like that you would like to turn to instead, then fair enough. But I guarantee that building a few of these will mean that you really never run out of fuel in these furnaces. This has already got onto the second hopper here, having only been running for a couple of minutes. If we take a look down onto this set of hoppers here, you'll see that it's starting to fill them up. Oh, I'm standing a little bit too close and I'm getting some of the items. But that hopper there has already completely filled up. The next one is in the process of filling up, and while I've got my block sounds turned down, we might as well build the cactus farm as well, so we can leave the the bamboo one running and filling up the rest of these furnaces with fuel. Now, we are actually going to be building multiple cactus farms in this little row here, and I've actually put a preemptive packed ice block underneath there with some slabs over the top of it so that we can have a second water stream, because all of the zero-tick cactus farms we're going to be building along here will be outputting into the same water stream. The reason I'm building multiple of them is because cacti have a habit of destroying items, specifically themselves. If you end up with a cactus that ends up falling on top of another cactus, it will end up obliterating that item, and then it won't get to go down into the furnaces. So we really need to make sure that we're getting a pretty decent cactus output here, which means multiple cactus farms. Now, in case you didn't catch the zero-tick bamboo farm design in a previous episode, or in case you want to see how this works for cactus, I'm going to try and run through this as best I can right here and right now. So we want to start off with a single block with 2 redstone torches on either side, which we are going to disable using a lever to stop some stuff from moving around too much while we do the next few bits. We're going to be placing 2 blocks of sand, one there and one there. These are the sand that is going to be shifted back and forth underneath the cactus, which, if I don't throw it on the ground, is going to be placed there, like so. And either side of this, we're going to be having some sticky pistons, one facing into this block of sand here, and one a block away on that side, so that they can shift these sand blocks back and forth. And believe it or not, the cactus will not break when this sand is shifted back and forth underneath it. In fact, it will actually zero-tick the cactus plant, encouraging it to grow. And if that gets done 16 times in quick succession, the cactus will actually guaranteed grow 1 block. Now, we are going to need something to break that second cactus block as it grows, probably something like a fence gate like we've used in previous cactus farms. We're not going to worry too much about that now. Instead, we need to set up a little bit more stuff around the outside of the farm here. First of all, we're going to be placing a block there and a block there next to each of the redstone torches, and we're going to be placing some redstone dust on that one and that one. And this is the point at which, if we didn't have the redstone torches disabled, the farm would probably start to jiggle around a whole bunch, and we don't want that to happen just yet. Instead, we're going to break out these 2 blocks here, and we're going to place some regular pistons firing underneath these pistons there, and on the opposite side there, like so. And those 2 should be the only ones we need. Occasionally, you can put the pistons on that block there and that block there if you want to. Sometimes that is necessary, depending on how the sort of update order is working. It's something a little bit more complicated about these farms that I won't go into now because I don't think it will be necessary. And when I switched the farm back on just then, it did actually break the cactus right away. So we might need to put the pistons there and there, and hopefully that should allow it to tick properly. Yes, there we go, fantastic, that's working. And now, as you can see, that piston down there isn't doing anything, so we can remove that one. We don't need to worry about the rest of them. And I think that was the piston that was causing the trouble with the farm in the first place. But as you can see, that cactus has now grown. Take another quick look. Every 16 times the sand passes underneath the cactus, it will grow an additional block. And it will only do this once. It doesn't grow the cactus a 3rd time. It's just this bottom block that is being encouraged to grow a block above it, like so. Watch. 16 times that happens, bam, it's there instantly. And you won't see it growing another block on top of that after the next 16 times. So what we need to do is break that block continuously to make sure the cactus is constantly producing. And we're going to build multiple of these along the length of this water stream. And in the time it's taken me to do that, these first 4 furnaces and their hoppers have all been filled up, and it's now moved on to this furnace, or perhaps it's filling up the hopper behind this one. So we're about halfway to being completely fueled up here, and I'm going to build a few more of these cactus farms. We can disable and enable these using redstone torches underneath this block, or some other kind of redstone input into this block, so we don't have to manually enable and disable them using levers. But all it's going to take is a fence gate up there, and that's going to allow the cactus to fall either forwards or backwards into a water stream. And we could widen out this water stream as well underneath here to make sure that it all flowed into a single stream that's going to get directed into these chests and along the hoppers. But ultimately, we are going to lose a few pieces of cacti here and there. They're going to fall onto that block maybe, or that block behind there. They're going to fall onto the cactus itself and destroy it. We're just going to have to deal with that, unfortunately. That's just par for the course. Building multiple of these zero-tick cactus farms in the same place is what's going to allow it to constantly provide items that can be smelted by these furnaces. And once again, remember, those are just going to get ejected into the droppers and thrown away. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time off camera building a few more of these cactus farms and hooking them all up with redstone so that they can be activated and deactivated all at once. And then we're finally going to put the finishing touches to this furnace and see what it can really do. And now we have 3 separate zero-tick cactus farms all running simultaneously, and I am not super happy with the amount of cactus that's just being left on these blocks, but I really don't know if there's very much we can do about that at this stage, considering how much of this system relies on having those blocks there with the redstone dots on them basically transferring power to all of the stuff around the outside here. So I might end up in the fullness of time looking into ways that can be improved. But we do still have some cactus flowing into the system. I've got this hopper here that's almost 3 stacks full. We also have a little bit probably going into the other hoppers here and there, but this furnace here is constantly now being fueled and receiving items that it can smelt, and then that stuff is immediately getting flushed away into the other cactus and being destroyed. I've also set up this lever here, which with a single flick of a lever disables all 3 of these cactus farms so that I can go down here and collect all of these extra drops here, but also so that we can turn off the flow of items from this if we need to. It seems like we might also need to turn off the flow of items from the fuel separately, so I might install a lever on this side just for simplicity that's going to control the fuel input as well, because looking at this, I'm pretty sure we're already full up on fuel on this side, and yeah, we won't really need any more bamboo for a little while, but once both systems are running, it's going to help to have both things running and providing both fuel and items so that this system can constantly run in the background. And now we come to possibly the simplest part of this design. How exactly do we get the XP out of these furnaces? Because it's all very well them smelting all of the items and flushing them away into the cactus to be destroyed, but then how do we take anything out of this item slot here in the first place if it never even appears there for us to click on? And the answer to that is quite simple. Underneath here we have a set of hoppers, all of which can be disabled by placing a lever on this block and switching it on, because that disables the hopper by adding a redstone signal into it, and this furnace here will retain 1 item. Then all we need to do is take that item out, and we gather all of the XP that furnace has acquired so far, which up until now is not a lot, but realistically, this thing has only really been able to smelt, you know, a few stacks of items at the most. So what we're going to do is add levers along the front here. We're going to add a couple more of those in just a second. We're going to leave all of these furnaces. There we go. The next one just started up thanks to me putting some more cactus in the first hopper there. It's going to take a while for all of these to completely fill up and to have smelted a reasonable amount of items, but once they have, that is a source of XP we can tap basically anytime we want to and control just by turning on and off these levers when more fuel and more items get added to the pile to be smelted. So I'm going to make a couple more changes to this. I'm just going to add a lever on this side to make sure that we can turn the bamboo supply on and off, but I think the best option here is going to be to AFK overnight at this thing so it produces a bunch of XP and see how quickly it can repair some tools in the morning. Good morning. So I made a couple of tweaks to the machines before I finished up for the night and made this whole AFK session happen. The first thing I did was to swap out the water streams in the cactus farm up there for some hoppers, because the cactus just wasn't being collected efficiently enough. We were losing a whole bunch of it, and so in here now we have a bunch of hoppers and some hopper minecarts to pick up the occasional cactus that was dropping onto the blocks that had the redstone dust on. But each of those is now being collected a lot more efficiently, give or take apparently those ones over there at the back, because I did have to leave in some blocks underneath there to see if I could disable the farms here and there. Unfortunately, I don't have a way of doing that automatically yet, so that lever I put in there now does nothing, but we'll figure that out. But even though I added a second bamboo farm in there, we do still seem to have run out of fuel, and we're running out of fuel kind of towards this side here, so maybe having a third bamboo farm in there to match the third cactus farm in there might be a good idea. You will definitely need more fuel than you will need items typically, so I think what happened was, yeah, we're occasionally getting bamboo filtering through into here, but the fact that, yeah, it didn't quite reach all the way over there with fuel is just going to not be able to smelt all of the cactus. So the fuel has at least reached these 5 furnaces, and of course now we can give it the test, we can lock it off. I will probably remove some of the other items I have, and maybe just try mending my elytra and this backup silk touch pick I have that has mending, and see how well we get on. But I'm going to pick one of the furnaces over here that's probably been burning for the longest. I will try this one to start with, and once that's locked off, we just have to smelt 1 item in here and get 1 item over here on the output slot so that we can take out a cactus green, and then all of the XP should start flooding in. Let's give this a try. And that didn't look like a whole lot, but it has repaired a bunch of durability on my pickaxe and a fair amount on the elytra as well. I also can't account for the fact that maybe my computer went to standby while I was AFKing overnight, because it did. The screens went to sleep, at least. Let's try one more time with this silk touch pick, locking off this one and only holding the silk touch pick. Let's see if I can burn. Let's burn these trapdoors as fuel. There we go, making sure the silk touch pick is the only thing I'm holding right now. Let's see how much durability we get repaired. Bam, and that completely repaired the silk touch pick. There you go. So we could have been holding a couple of other items as well. Although it's worth remembering that any other items you might be holding or wearing that have mending can also pick up that XP, and if they are completely full of durability, then they will just redirect the XP to your XP bar. So it is worth making sure that you're only holding the single item that you need to repair. But I think that was a success overall. We do still need to balance out some of the inputs for the fuel and the items, and we need to figure out a way of turning this thing off so it's not running constantly unless we want it to. But I think that has been a success, and hopefully at least this should give you an example of how powerful furnace-based XP farms can be in this most recent update to Minecraft. You can have a whole bunch of this, and to be fair, you don't even have to have the automatic 0-tick farms running. You could just have a cactus farm like the one that we have over there, and some other kind of fuel farm that could be running in the background, and you could leave this thing to run for the majority of your world. You could just forget about it and then come back later and grab yourself a ton of XP. The upper limit of the XP for this is not really there. It's just sort of limitless. So be careful you don't crash your worlds with XP, obviously, but that would take a heck of a lot of smelting to do. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like on the episode if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.